She stopped to help a bleeding stranger on the highway, missing the interview that could have saved her life. What she didn't know, the man she saved was a mafia boss. And he'd already decided she belonged to him now. Marina's phone buzzed for the third time. She ignored it, gripping the steering wheel tighter as snow blurred her windshield. The interview was in 40 minutes. 40 minutes to change everything. "Mom, you're going really fast," said Lily from the back seat, clutching her worn teddy bear. "I know, baby." Just a little longer, Marina's voice cracked. She hadn't meant to sound scared, but the eviction notice folded in her purse felt like it was burning through the fabric. 3 weeks. That's all the time they had left. This job, assistant manager at Morrison and Associates, it wasn't just a job. It was health insurance. It was Lily's asthma medication, without choosing between that and groceries. It was proof that Marina wasn't failing as a mother. The highways stretched ahead, white and empty. Too empty for a Tuesday morning. Then she saw it. A black Mercedes, wrapped around a guardrail like a crushed soda can. Steam poured from the hood, melting the snow in hissing clouds. The driver's door hung open, and a man in an expensive suit lay half in, half out of the vehicle, his white shirt blooming red. Marina's foot hit the brake before her brain caught up. "No, no, no," she whispered. "Not today. Please, not today." But the car was already pulling to the shoulder. Her hands moved on their own, killing the engine, unbuckling her seatbelt. Through the rearview mirror, she saw Lily's wide eyes. "Stay in the car, Lily. Do not get out. Understand? Is that man dead?"
"Stay in the
car." Marina's heels sank into the snow as she ran. The wind cut through her interview blazer, the only professional thing she owned, bought from a thrift store and dry-cleaned with money she didn't have. The man was breathing, but barely. His face was pale beneath olive skin, and a gash across his temple leaked blood onto the pristine snow. He looked young, maybe mid-30s, with dark hair and the kind of sharp features you saw in cologne advertisements. His eyes fluttered open. They were gray, like storm clouds, and completely aware despite the blood loss. "Don't call," he managed, his hand shooting out to grab her wrist with surprising strength. "You need an ambulance." Marina pulled out her phone. "No hospitals," his grip tightened, and something in those gray eyes made her hesitate. Not fear exactly. Command. This was a man used to being obeyed. "You're bleeding everywhere. You could be dying." "Exactly why." "No hospitals," he coughed, and blood flecked his lips.
"They'll
finish the job." A chill ran down Marina's spine that had nothing to do with the snow. "They'll finish the job." What kind of car accident victims said things like that? But he was losing consciousness again, his grip loosening. Marina made a choice. She packed snow against his head wound, ruining her blazer as she pressed it to stop the bleeding. Her hands shook as she checked his pulse, threading and weak. She elevated his legs using his suit jacket, which probably cost more than her monthly rent. "Mom," Lily's voice, scared. "I said stay in a car." "There's another car coming." Marina's head snapped up. A white SUV was approaching slowly, too slowly for highway speed. It stopped 50 feet away, and 2 men got out. They wore dark coats and sunglasses despite the overcast sky, and they moved with the careful coordination of people who'd done this before. The injured man's eyes opened again. "Run," he whispered. "I'm not leaving you two. Run." The crack of a gunshot split the air. Marina dropped flat, her heart exploding in her chest. The bullet pinged off the guardrail inches from where she'd been standing. "Federal agent," she screamed, the lie jumping from her mouth. "Backup is 3 minutes out." Silence. Then the sound of car doors slamming and tires squealing. Marina lifted her head, shaking so hard she could barely see straight. The SUV was retreating, disappearing into the snow. The man was staring at her. "Federal agent." I panicked. Good. Panic, the corner of his mouth twitched. It might have been a smile. Marina's phone was already out, fingers stabbing 911 with shaking hands. "Yes, there's been an accident on Highway 47, mile marker 32. A man is injured and someone just shot at us. She gave them the details through chattering teeth, keeping pressure on his wounds. The man watched her the whole time, those gray eyes never blinking, like he was memorizing her face. "What's your name?" he asked suddenly. "That doesn't matter." "It matters. To me."
Marina. Marina Reyes.
"Dante," he coughed again. "Dante Ferrosai." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Marina felt tears on her cheeks and realized she was crying. When had she started crying? "You should
Go, Dante said.
before they arrive. I'm not leaving until you have someone in your car." A child, his eyes flicked toward her rusty Honda. "You don't want police reports. Questions. Not if you're running from something too." How did he know? How could he possibly know? "The interview," Marina whispered. She'd forgotten. She checked her phone. 22 missed calls. The interview was in 7 minutes. 7 minutes and a 40-minute drive away. "I'm sorry," Dante said, and he sounded like he meant it. The ambulance screamed around the bend. Marina stood on shaking legs, backing toward her car. Dante's gray eyes followed her. "Thank you," he called out, and it sounded like a promise. "I won't forget." Marina didn't answer. She ran to her car, threw herself into the driver's seat, and pulled back onto the highway with snowblind urgency. Lily was crying softly in the back seat. "It's okay, baby. We're okay." But they weren't okay. Marina's hands were covered in blood. Her blazer was ruined. And she'd just missed the most important interview of her life to save a man who'd told her not to call the police, who'd been shot at by men in dark coats, who'd looked at her like he could see every secret she carried. She didn't know it yet, but Dante Ferrosai had already decided something in those few minutes on the frozen highway. Marina Reyes belonged to him now. And what Dante Ferrosai claimed, he kept. The rejection email came at 6:47 p.m., exactly 4 hours after Marina was supposed to walk through Morrison and Associates' glass doors. "We regret to inform you that we've decided to move forward with other candidates." Marina stared at her phone screen until the words blurred. She was sitting on the kitchen floor of their tiny apartment, surrounded by past due bills she'd spread out like some kind of twisted budgeting ritual.
Rent.
Electric. Lily's inhaler prescription. The eviction notice, stamped in aggressive red letters. "Mom? Are you crying again?" Marina wiped her face quickly.
No, baby.
"Just tired. Did you finish your homework?" Lily nodded, hovering in the doorway with that worried expression that no 7-year-old should have to wear. The expression that said she knew they were drowning and couldn't understand why her mother couldn't just swim harder. "Go brush your teeth. I'll read you a story in 10 minutes. After Lily disappeared, Marina let herself break. Silent sobs that shook her shoulders but made no sound. She'd destroyed everything today. For what? A stranger who'd probably forgotten her name already. The knock on the door came at 7:15 p.m. Nobody knocked on their door. The neighbors kept to themselves, and Marina had no friends. Friendship required time and money she didn't have. Through the peephole, she saw 2 men in sharp black suits. They stood with military posture, hands clasped in front of them, expressions carefully neutral. Marina's blood turned to ice. The men from the highway. They'd found her. "Ms. Reyes." One of them called through the door. His voice was smooth, polite. "We're not here to cause trouble. Our employer would like to speak with you." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Wrong apartment." Marina Elena Reyes, age 28, born in Austin, Texas. You drive a 2012 Honda Civic with a dented rear bumper. Your daughter is Lily Marie Reyes, age 7, currently enrolled at Riverside Elementary. The floor tilted beneath Marina's feet. They knew Lily's name. They knew her school. "What do you want?" Her voice came out strangled. "Simply to extend an invitation. Mr. Ferrosai would like to thank you personally for your assistance this morning. Tell him he's welcome. Now leave." "I'm afraid Mr. Ferrosai insists on thanking you properly." The man's tone hadn't changed, but something in it made Marina's skin crawl. "He's a very persistent individual." Mom. Lily appeared behind her, toothbrush still in her mouth. Who's at the door? The man's eyes flicked down to Lily, and Marina felt something primal surge through her chest. Nobody, baby. Go back to the bathroom. Ms. Reyes, perhaps we could discuss this more comfortably? We have a car downstairs. A simple meeting, 30 minutes of your time, and we'll compensate you for the inconvenience. I'm not getting in a car with strangers. We understand your hesitation, the second man finally spoke, his voice deeper, with an accent Marina couldn't place. However, Mr. Ferozai wished us to convey that he's aware of your financial difficulties. He'd like to help. Marina's jaw clenched. I don't want his help. The eviction notice is dated for January 15th. That's 18 days from now. The first man's politeness never wavered, which somehow made it worse. Mr. Ferozai could make that disappear, along with several other pressing concerns. How did they know about the eviction? How did they know everything? Are you threatening me? Quite the opposite. We're offering assistance. But Mr. Ferozai is unaccustomed to having his gratitude refused. It tends to complicate matters. There it was. The velvet glove slipping to reveal the iron fist beneath. Tell your boss that I'm glad he's alive, but I want nothing from him. No money. No help. No meeting. We're done. Marina slammed the peephole cover and backed away from the door, pulling Lily with her. For a long moment, there was silence. Then footsteps, receding down the hallway. But the taller man's voice drifted back, just loud enough to hear. He'll be disappointed. Mr. Ferozai doesn't like disappointment. Marina triple-checked the locks and shoved a chair under the door handle. Her hands were shaking again, just like they had on the highway. Mom, you're scaring me. It's okay. Just some salesman. Very pushy salesman. Marina forced a smile that felt like breaking glass. How about that story? But as she read to Lily that night, some fairy tale about a princess and a tower, Marina couldn't stop thinking about Dante Ferozai's gray eyes. About the way he'd looked at her like he was memorizing her existence. Thank you. I won't forget. She'd thought it was gratitude. Now she realized it was a warning. Outside their apartment window, a black sedan sat idling across the street, engine running, headlights dark. Marina saw it when she checked on Lily one last time before bed. It was still there at midnight. Still there at 2 a.m. And when dawn broke gray and cold over the city, the sedan was gone. But Marina knew, with the certainty of prey recognizing a predator's scent, that this was only the beginning. Marina's shift at Rosie's Diner started at 6 a.m. She'd worked there for 3 years, smelling like fryer grease and stale coffee, her feet aching in shoes held together with super glue. It wasn't much, but the tips kept them fed. Barely. She was refilling ketchup bottles when he walked in. Dante Ferozai looked nothing like the bleeding man from the highway. He wore a charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than her car, his dark hair perfectly styled, the gash on his temple reduced to a thin line held together with butterfly stitches. He moved with the fluid confidence of someone who owned every room he entered. Their eyes met across the diner, and Marina's hands froze. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Table for one, he told Jenny at the counter, but he was still looking at Marina. Every instinct screamed at her to run. Instead, she grabbed a coffee pot with shaking hands and approached his booth by the window. Coffee. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Please, he gestured to the seat across from him. And your company, if you have a moment. I'm working. I'll make it worth your while. He slid an envelope across the table. It was thick, cream-colored, expensive. Marina didn't touch it. I told your men I don't want anything from you. I know. That's precisely why I came myself. Dante leaned back, studying her with those unsettling gray eyes. You saved my life, Marina. Do you have any idea what that means? It means you're alive. You're welcome. Now, please leave. Open the envelope.
No.
You're being evicted in 17 days. Marina's grip tightened on the coffee pot. Around them, the diner continued its morning rhythm. Truckers arguing about football, the cook shouting orders, the jukebox playing something twangy and old. How I live my life is none of your business. You're right. It isn't. Dante's voice dropped lower. But you made it my business when you stopped on that highway. When you lied to armed men to protect me. When you risked your daughter's safety for a stranger. That was a mistake.
No.
That was kindness. He said the word like it was foreign to him. Something very rare in my world. Marina finally set the coffee pot down and slid into the booth, but only because her legs were shaking. What do you want from me? To say thank you. You've said it. Now go. Dante opened the envelope himself and pulled out a stack of papers. Marina's breath caught.
Receipts.
Her landlord's name at the top, marked paid in full. Another paper, Lily's school fees for the entire year.
Paid.
A third document, the hospital bill from Lily's emergency room visit last month when her asthma flared.
Paid.
What did you do?
Marina whispered.
I took care of a few things. Small concerns for someone like me. That's over $8,000. $8,342, to be exact. Dante folded his hands on the table. They were elegant hands, she noticed, but his knuckles were scarred. Consider it a gesture of gratitude. Marina shoved the papers back across the table, her heart hammering. I can't accept this. You already have. The payments cleared this morning. Then reverse them. I don't reverse decisions, Marina. Something hard entered his voice. And neither should you. Your daughter needs stability. Medicine. A home. Your pride is costing her things she deserves. The words hit like a slap. Marina felt tears burning her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of him. You don't know anything about my daughter. I know she's 7. I know she has asthma. I know she's terrified you're going to lose your apartment. Dante's expression softened slightly. I know she draws pictures of houses with big yards and dogs, because that's what's pinned to your refrigerator. I know she deserves better than watching her mother break herself into pieces every day. How dare you? I'm not judging you. I'm offering help. Why? Marina leaned forward, anger burning through her fear. Why does a stranger care so much about my life? What do you really want? Dante was quiet for a long moment. Outside the window, the black sedan from last night idled at the curb. Marina could see 2 silhouettes inside. You asked who I am, he said finally. The truth is complicated. But what you need to know is this. I'm someone who remembers debts. And I always repay them. I don't want. It's not about what you want anymore. His voice turned cold, and Marina saw the other man, the one from the highway who'd told her to run. By helping me, you painted a target on yourself.
My enemies saw you.
They know your face. Your name. Marina's blood turned to ice. The men who shot at us. Among others, Dante stood, dropping a $100 bill on the table for a cup of coffee he hadn't touched. The money is yours.
Keep it.
Refuse it. Burn it. I don't care. But understand this, Marina, whether you like it or not, you're under my protection now. I didn't ask for your protection. No, Dante said softly, something almost like regret crossing his features. You asked for nothing. That's the problem. He walked out, and the black sedan pulled away from the curb to follow him. Marina sat alone in the booth, staring at the papers that represented everything she needed and nothing she wanted. Her manager, Rosie, appeared at her elbow. That man left you $100 for coffee. Who the hell is he? Marina didn't answer, because the terrifying truth was she had no idea. The black sedan appeared on Tuesday. Marina noticed it while walking Lily home from school, parked across from the playground with tinted windows that reflected the afternoon sun. She told herself it was paranoia. On Wednesday, a different car, a dark SUV, sat outside Rosie's diner during her entire shift. By Thursday, Marina stopped telling herself she was imagining things. Mommy, why does that man keep looking at us? Lily tugged her sleeve as they climbed the stairs to their apartment. Marina glanced back. A figure in a long coat stood by the building's entrance, pretending to check his phone. He wasn't pretending very well. He's just waiting for someone, baby. Go inside and start your homework. But Lily's question hung in the air like smoke. The neighbors had noticed too. Mrs. Chun from 3B stopped making eye contact in the hallway. The Martinez family, who used to let Lily play with their daughter, suddenly always had other plans. On Friday evening, Marina found Mr. Kowalski from 2A waiting by her door. "Ms. Reyes, we need to talk. I'm kind of busy. There are dangerous men watching this building." His Polish accent thickened with stress. "Black cars. Men in expensive suits. My wife. She sees them following you." "Who are these people?" Marina's stomach twisted. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. I grew up in Warsaw during bad times. I know what organized crime looks like." His eyes were hard but not unkind. "Whatever trouble you're in, it's bringing attention here. Attention that makes people nervous." "I'm not in trouble." "Then why are we all being watched?" Marina had no answer. Mr. Kowalski shook his head sadly and walked away, and she knew what he was thinking. They complained to the landlord, try to get her evicted faster. A problem tenant bringing mobsters to a quiet building.
She was toxic now.
Contaminated by Dante Ferrosi's gratitude. That night, Marina made a decision. She pulled out the business card the suited men had left under her door, expensive cardstock with just a phone number embossed in gold. She dialed. "Ms. Reyes," the voice answered on the first ring, as if he'd been waiting. "How can we assist you?" "I want to speak to Dante."
Now.
"Mr. Feroci is in a meeting." "I don't care if he's meeting the Pope. Get him on the phone, or I'm calling the police and telling them everything." A pause. Then 1 moment. 30 seconds later, Dante's voice came through, smooth and unhurried.
"Marina.
I was wondering when you'd call." "Call off your dogs." "My dogs." "The men watching my building." "The cars following me." "My neighbors are scared, and my daughter is asking questions I can't answer." "The men are for your protection." "I don't want your protection." Marina's voice rose, and she forced it back down, glancing at Lily's closed bedroom door. "You're destroying my life. People think I'm involved with criminals. You're involved with criminals. The moment you stopped on that highway, you became involved. Then uninvolve me." "It doesn't work that way." Dante's tone hardened. "Did you think those men who shot at us gave up? That they don't have your license plate, your face? You're a loose end, Marina. And loose ends get cut." The words hit like ice water. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that without my protection, you'd already be dead. You and Lily both." Marina's knees buckled. She sat down hard on the kitchen floor, the phone pressed to her ear. "You're lying. You're just trying to scare me into." 3 days ago, 2 men tried to access your building's service entrance. My people stopped them. Yesterday, someone hacked your phone to track your location. We redirected it. His voice was matter-of-fact, like he was discussing the weather. "This morning, a car tried to follow Lily's school bus. We prevented it." Marina couldn't breathe. The walls of her tiny kitchen were closing in. "Why didn't you tell me?"
"Because you would have panicked."
"You would have run, and running would have gotten you killed. So what? I'm supposed to just live like this? With armed men watching my every move?" "No." Dante paused, and Marina heard voices in the background, muffled and urgent. "You're supposed to accept my help properly. Leave the city for a while. Let me handle this situation." "Leave?" "I have a job. Lily has school." "You have a job that pays $9 an hour and a school that's failing its students." "I'm offering you safety, Marina. Real safety until I eliminate the threat." "And if I refuse?" The silence stretched long enough that Marina thought he'd hung up. Then Dante spoke, and his voice was gentle in a way that terrified her more than threats ever could. "Then I'll keep protecting you anyway. But it will be harder, Messier. People around you might get hurt. Is that what you want?" Marina thought of Mr. Kowalski, of Mrs. Chun, of Lily asking why strange men were always watching them. "How long?" she whispered. "A few weeks. Maybe less." "Where would we go?" "Somewhere safe. Somewhere I can control the variables." Marina closed her eyes. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, that accepting would pull her deeper into whatever dark world Dante inhabited. But her daughter's face floated behind her eyelids, and she remembered the hospital bills he'd paid, the eviction notice that had vanished. I need to think about it. Don't think too long. These people are patient, but not that patient. The line went dead. Marina sat on her kitchen floor, surrounded by the ruins of her normal life, and realized the truth. Normal had died on that snowy highway. Now she was just deciding how to survive what came next. The villa was nothing like Marina expected. She'd imagined something cold and fortress-like, high walls, security cameras, the kind of place that screamed criminal empire. Instead, the car wound through rolling hills dotted with olive trees, eventually stopping before a sprawling Mediterranean estate that looked like it belonged in a travel magazine. Warm terracotta walls, ivy climbing ancient stone, gardens bursting with late-blooming roses despite the winter chill. It's beautiful, Lily breathed, pressing her face against the window. Marina's grip on their single suitcase tightened. Beautiful things could still be cages. Dante waited at the entrance, flanked by two men Marina didn't recognize. He'd traded his suit for dark slacks and a black sweater that made him look younger, less dangerous. Almost human. "Welcome," he said simply. "How long do we have to stay here?" Marina kept her voice flat, refusing to be charmed by gardens and architecture. "As long as necessary," he gestured toward the entrance.
Come.
"I'll show you to your rooms." The interior was even more stunning. High ceilings with exposed beams, artwork that looked museum quality, floors of polished marble that caught the afternoon light. But Marina noticed other details too. The security panel by the door, the cameras hidden in corners, the way every window had reinforced frames. A prison, just a prettier one. "This is the East Wing," Dante explained, leading them down a corridor lined with photographs. "You'll have privacy here. 3 bedrooms, a sitting room, your own kitchen if you prefer not to eat with the staff." "Staff?" Marina asked. "I employ 12 people on the grounds. Housekeepers, cooks, security, groundskeepers. They live in the West Wing." He stopped at a heavy wooden door. "This is yours." The suite was enormous. Lily ran immediately to the windows, which overlooked gardens and a fountain shaped like a dolphin. Marina stood frozen in the doorway. "The bedroom next door is for Lily," Dante continued. "I've had it prepared with some things she might enjoy. Books, toys. If there's anything else she needs." "Why are you doing this?"
Marina interrupted.
"And don't tell me it's gratitude. Nobody does this much for gratitude." Dante's expression shifted, something unreadable crossing his features. "You're right. It's not just gratitude." "Then what?" "Insurance," he met her eyes. "You're the only witness to what happened on that highway. The only person who can identify my attackers if they're caught. That makes you valuable, Marina. To me, and to people who want me dead." The honesty surprised her. "So we're prisoners. You're protected. There's a difference." "Is there?" Before Dante could answer, a woman appeared in the doorway, late 50s, gray hair in a neat bun, kind eyes that crinkled when she smiled. You must be Marina and Lily." "I'm Teresa, the head housekeeper." She had a warm Italian accent. "Welcome, welcome. Lily, would you like to see your room? I think you'll love what we've prepared." Lily looked at Marina, who nodded reluctantly. The girl followed Teresa down the hall, her excited chatter fading. Alone with Dante, the room felt suddenly smaller. "Your staff," Marina said carefully. "Do they know who you are? What you do?" "They know enough. And they don't care?" "They're paid well to not care. Loyalty is expensive, Marina, but it's worth every penny." He moved to the window, hands in his pockets. "They'll treat you with respect. Perhaps more respect than you're used to." "What does that mean?" Dante turned, and something in his smile was almost sad. "It means they'll treat you like you matter to me. Because in this world, the people I protect are untouchable. Sacred, even." Marina's stomach flipped. "I don't want to be sacred to anyone." Too late. The words hung between them like a confession. Marina searched his face for signs of the bleeding man from the highway, the one who'd told her to run. He seemed like a different person now, controlled, calculated, every word measured. "How long were you gone?" she asked suddenly. "Before the crash." You disappeared for 2 months, didn't you? Dante's eyes sharpened.
Who told you that?
I heard your men talking when they picked us up. They said you'd been missing. That people thought you were dead. Marina took a step closer. What happened during those 2 months? Nothing you need to worry about. Everything about this situation makes me worry. If I'm going to be trapped here with my daughter, I deserve to know what kind of danger we're actually in. For a long moment, Dante just stared at her. Then he sighed, a sound that carried the weight of things he couldn't say. I was taken, he said quietly, by people who wanted information. They held me in a warehouse outside Naples, trying to break me, trying to make me give up names and locations. His hand unconsciously touched the scar on his temple. I escaped, but I was weak, disoriented. That's why I crashed. And that's why someone tried to finish what they started. Marina's breath caught. You were tortured. Yes. And these people, the ones who took you, they're still out there. Not all of them. But enough. Dante's jaw tightened. Enough to make you a target by association. A scream of delight echoed from down the hall. Lily, discovering whatever treasures Teresa had prepared. The sound felt surreal against their conversation. I want to go home, Marina whispered. I know. Dante moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You deserved the life you were building. But that life ended on the highway, and all I can offer now is this 1 inch. He left before Marina could respond. She sank onto the plush bed, surrounded by luxury she'd never earned and safety she'd never asked for, and wondered if Dante Ferozzi was her savior or her captor. Maybe he was both. Marina couldn't sleep. The bed was too soft, the silence too complete. At home, she'd grown used to sirens and shouting neighbors, the constant hum of the city. Here, there was nothing but wind through olive trees and the occasional crunch of gravel as security made their rounds. At 2 a.m., she gave up and padded into the hallway. Lily was asleep in the next room, curled around a stuffed rabbit Teresa had given her. Marina stood in the doorway watching her daughter breathe, feeling the familiar ache of love and terror. Then she heard voices. They came from somewhere below, muffled but urgent. Marina knew she should go back to bed, mind her business, stay invisible. Instead, she followed the sound. The villa's corridors were dimly lit, wall sconces casting shadows that danced across oil paintings of people long dead. Marina moved carefully, her bare feet silent on cold marble. The voices grew louder. Angry. She found a staircase leading down and descended into what looked like a wine cellar, brick walls lined with bottles, a heavy wooden table in the center. Light spilled from a room beyond, and through the half-open door, Marina saw them. Dante sat at the head of the table, still in his black sweater, but his posture was different now. Relaxed. Dangerous. Like a wolf pretending to rest. 5 men surrounded him, all wearing expensive suits, all wearing expressions ranging from nervous to hostile. He knew our routes, Dante. Every single shipment location. A bald man with a scar across his cheek slammed his fist on the table. We have a rat. We have a traitor, Dante corrected, his voice deadly calm. Rats are stupid. Traitors are calculating. Same difference. We need to find him and send a message. And we will Luca, but we do it carefully. Whoever is feeding information to the Rossi family is smart enough to stay hidden this long. We move too fast, we spook them. Marina's blood ran cold. Rossi family. She'd heard that name on the news, organized crime, drug trafficking, bodies found in dumpsters. What about the shipment in Genoa? Another man, younger with slicked back hair, leaned forward. Do we still move it? We move it, but we change the route. And we use it as bait. Dante's fingers drummed the table. Whoever the traitor is, they'll report the new route. When the Rossis show up at the wrong location, we'll know who leaked it. And then... Dante's smile was chilling. Then we remind people what happens when they betray the Ferozzi family. Marina's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. The man who'd paid her rent, who'd set up Lily with toys and books, was the same man calmly discussing murder like it was a business transaction. What about the woman? Luca asked suddenly. The one you brought here. Is she a liability? Marina's heart stopped. Marina is off limits. Dante's tone could have frozen fire. Anyone who touches her answers to me personally. I'm not suggesting we hurt her. I'm suggesting she's a weakness. The Rossis know about her. They tried to grab her twice already, which is why she's here. But for how long? You can't babysit some waitress forever. Eventually, you'll have to decide, is she worth the risk, or is she a problem that needs solving? The silence that followed was suffocating. Marina pressed herself against the wall, terrified to breathe. Marina saved my life, Dante said finally, each word deliberate. When I was bleeding out on that highway, when I had nothing to offer her, she stopped. She could have driven past like everyone else, but she didn't. That kind of decency is rare, Luca. So rare that I'm willing to burn down anyone who threatens it. Sentiment is dangerous in our business. It's not sentiment. It's principle, Dante stood, and even from her hiding spot, Marina could feel the shift in power. My father built this family on 2 rules: reward loyalty and punish betrayal. Marina showed me loyalty when she had no reason to. That earns her protection for as long as she needs it. Another man cleared his throat nervously. What if she goes to the police? She's seen the villa, knows our faces. She won't. How can you be sure? Because she has a daughter, Dante's voice softened slightly. And she knows that crossing me would endanger the one person she'd die to protect. Marina is smart. She'll keep quiet. Marina felt sick. He was right, and they both knew it. She was trapped, not by locks and guards, but by the knowledge that one wrong move would paint a target on Lily's back. The meeting continued, discussing routes and payoffs and people Marina hoped she'd never meet. She crept back upstairs, her legs shaking so badly she had to grip the railing. Back in her room, she locked the door and shoved a chair under the handle. As if furniture could protect her from the truth she'd just learned. Dante Ferozzi wasn't just wealthy. He wasn't just dangerous. He was a mafia boss. The head of a criminal empire built on violence and fear. And Marina was living in his home, eating his food, accepting his protection. She thought of Lily sleeping peacefully down the hall, clutching her new rabbit. Thought of the eviction notice that had disappeared, the bills that had been paid. Every comfort had a price. Marina was just beginning to understand what that price might be. Marina avoided Dante for 3 days. It wasn't hard. The villa was enormous, and he spent most of his time in meetings or locked in his study. She kept to the east wing with Lily, taking meals in their private kitchen, venturing into the gardens only when she was certain he was elsewhere. But on the 4th day, he found her. Marina was sitting by the dolphin fountain, watching Lily chase butterflies through the rose bushes. The afternoon sun was warm, and for a moment, just a moment, she'd almost forgotten where they were. She's happy here, Dante said from behind her. Marina didn't turn around. Temporary happiness isn't real happiness. Isn't it? He sat beside her on the stone bench, maintaining a careful distance. Sometimes temporary is all we get. We should appreciate it while it lasts. Is that mafia philosophy? His jaw tightened. You were listening that night. Hard not to when you're discussing murder in the wine cellar. Marina finally looked at him. Who are you, Dante? Really? You already know. I know what you do. I don't know who you are. Dante watched Lily for a long moment, something unreadable in his expression. My father was Vittorio Ferozzi. He built an empire from nothing, importing, exporting investments. Some legal, most not. When he died 5 years ago, I inherited everything. The business, the enemies, the responsibility of keeping 300 people employed and protected. 300 people who work in organized crime. 300 families who eat because of the decisions I make. He turned to face her. I'm not asking you to approve of my life, Marina. I'm just asking you to understand that it's more complicated than good and evil. Murder isn't complicated. It's wrong. Even when it's the only way to protect innocent people. Even when showing mercy would be seen as weakness and invite more violence. Dante's voice hardened. I didn't choose this world, but I was born into it. And I do what's necessary to survive. Marina wanted to argue, but Lily's laughter rang out across the garden, pure and unburdened. Her daughter hadn't laughed like that in months. "Why did you really bring us here?" Marina asked quietly. "I told you."
The truth, Dante.
"Not the answer you give your men." He was silent for so long Marina thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because when I was in that warehouse, bleeding and broken, all I could think about was dying alone, being forgotten. And then you appeared on that highway like some kind of miracle, and you saw me. Not the name, not the reputation, just a man who needed help. Nobody's looked at me like that in 10 years. The confession hung between them, raw and unexpected. "That doesn't mean I belong here," Marina said. "Maybe not. But you're here now, and I have a proposition." Dante pulled an envelope from his jacket. "Always with the envelopes. I need someone I can trust. Someone who isn't afraid to tell me the truth. Someone good. Good people don't work for the Mafia. Which is exactly why I need one." He opened the envelope, revealing a contract. "I want to hire you as my personal advisor. You'd oversee the legitimate businesses, manage the estate workers, handle charitable foundations. Nothing illegal. Nothing dangerous." Marina stared at the paper. The salary listed made her dizzy. More money than she'd make in 5 years at the diner. "You're insane." "I'm serious. You have something I need, Marina. A conscience. Every decision I make affects hundreds of lives, and I'm surrounded by people who only tell me what I want to hear. You'd tell me the truth. And if your truth involves murder, what then? Then you'd tell me I'm wrong. And I'd listen. Would you really?" Dante met her eyes. "I don't know, but I'd like the chance to find out." Marina looked at Lily, now showing Teresa a caterpillar she'd found. Her daughter looked healthy here, safe. The constant worry that had lined her small face had smoothed away. "I can't," Marina whispered. "I want a normal life for Lily. School plays and birthday parties and friends who don't have bodyguards. I can't give her that in your world. Can you give her that in yours?" Dante asked gently. "The eviction, the hospital bills, the fear of not having enough, is that the normal you want for her?" The words cut deep because they were true. "I need time to think." "Take all the time you need," Dante stood, leaving the contract on the bench between them. "But Marina? Until I find the traitor, you can't leave. It's not safe. Whether you work for me or not, you're under my protection until this is over." "How long?"
Weeks.
"Maybe a month. And then you're free to go. I'll set you up anywhere you want, new city, new identity, if necessary. You'll never have to see me again." Something flickered across his face. "Though I hope you'll choose otherwise." He walked away, leaving Marina alone with a contract that promised everything she needed and nothing she wanted. Lily ran over, breathless and grinning. "Mama, can we stay here forever? Please?" Marina pulled her daughter close, breathing in the scent of sunshine and roses, and felt her careful walls beginning to crack. "We'll see, baby. We'll see." But as she watched Dante's figure disappear into the villa, she wondered if leaving was ever really going to be an option, or if she'd already crossed a line she couldn't uncross. The attack came at 3:47 a.m. Marina woke to the sound of shattering glass and Lily screaming. Her body moved on instinct, throwing herself from the bed and running to her daughter's room. Lily stood frozen by the window, eyes wide with terror. "Get down." Marina tackled her to the floor just as gunfire erupted. The sound was deafening, sharp cracks that punched through the night like thunder. Lily sobbed against her chest as Marina covered her with her body, praying the walls were thick enough. The bedroom door burst open.
Marina screamed.
"It's me." One of Dante's guards, Marco. She thought his name was, grabbed them both. "Come with me. Now." He hauled them into the corridor where 2 more guards waited, weapons drawn. The villa had transformed into a war zone. Shouts in Italian, running footsteps, the constant percussion of gunfire. "Where's Dante?"
Marina gasped.
"Handling it. Move." They ran through corridors Marina didn't recognize, descending stairs that seemed to go on forever. Lily clung to her like a baby monkey, face buried in her shoulder. Finally, they reached a steel door. Marco punched in a code, and pushed them through. The bunker was surprisingly spacious, reinforced concrete walls, emergency supplies, a bank of monitors showing camera feeds from around the property. Marina counted at least a dozen armed men advancing through the gardens, moving with military precision. "Oh God," she whispered. "You're safe here." Marco checked his weapon. Doors 6 inches of steel. They'd need a tank to get through. What about Dante? Mr. Ferozzi can take care of himself. But Marina couldn't tear her eyes from the monitors. She found Dante on camera 3, moving through the villa's main hall with a gun in each hand, flanked by Luca and 3 others. He moved like water, smooth and lethal, dropping 2 attackers before they even saw him coming. This wasn't the man who'd sat beside her at the fountain. This was someone else entirely, cold, efficient, terrifying in his precision. "Mama, I'm scared." Lily's voice was so small. "I know, baby. I know. But we're safe. I promise we're safe." The light tasted like ash. On the monitors, the battle raged. Dante's men had the advantage of knowing the terrain, using the villa's architecture to funnel attackers into kill zones. But there were so many of them. More kept coming, pouring through breached windows and blown doors. Marina watched Dante take cover behind a marble column, reload with practiced ease, and emerge to put 3 rounds into an attacker's center mass.
No hesitation. No merci.
She should have been horrified. Instead, some primal part of her brain whispered, "He's protecting us." The bunker door opened again. Marina spun, pushing Lily behind her. But it was Teresa, the housekeeper, ushering in 2 other staff members, the young cook and an older groundskeeper. All 3 looked terrified. "The East Wing is compromised," Teresa said breathlessly. "Marco, they're inside." "Dante knows. He's pushing them back. How many did we lose?" Marco's face darkened. 3 so far. Giovanni, Alessandro, and Paolo. Teresa crossed herself, whispering a prayer. Marina felt sick. 3 people dead. 3 families destroyed because she'd stopped on a highway. Lily tugged her sleeve. "Mama, who are those bad men?" "People who want to hurt Mr. Ferozzi."
Why?
Because Marina didn't know how to explain organized crime to a 7-year-old. Because sometimes grown-ups make bad choices and other grown-ups try to punish them. On the monitor, Dante cornered the last 2 attackers in the library. What happened next was too fast for Marina to fully process. A blur of movement. 2 bodies dropping, Dante walking away without looking back. The gunfire stopped. The sudden silence was somehow worse than the noise. "Is it over?" the cook whispered. Marco listened to something in his earpiece. "Perimeter secure. All hostiles neutralized."
Neutralized, Marina repeated numbly.
"You mean dead?" "I mean they won't hurt anyone again." 20 minutes later, the all-clear came. Marco escorted them back upstairs. Marina kept Lily's face pressed against her shoulder, shielding her from the bodies being dragged out, the blood-staining marble floors, the bullet holes punching through priceless art. Dante was waiting in the main hall, blood spattered across his white shirt. Not his blood, Marina realized. His hair was disheveled, his eyes wild with adrenaline, but his hands were steady as he checked his weapon. He looked up as they approached, and something in his expression cracked. "You're safe," he breathed. 3 of your men are dead." "I know," pain flashed across his face. "They died doing their job, protecting what matters. We're not worth dying for." "That's not your decision to make." Dante holstered his weapon, and his voice gentled.
Marina, I'm sorry.
"I thought we had more time before they found us." "Who were they?" "Rossi family. 20 men, maybe more." He ran a hand through his hair. This was a statement. A message that they're willing to escalate. "So what now?" Dante looked at her for a long moment, and Marina saw the weight of command in those gray eyes, the burden of making choices that got people killed. "Now we hunt them down," he said quietly. "Every last one. And we make sure they never threaten my family again." My family. He meant his organization, his empire. But the way he looked at Marina and Lily when he said it made her wonder if he meant something else entirely. Lily finally lifted her head, tear-streaked and trembling. Mr. Ferocai? Are the bad men gone? Dante knelt, so they were eye level. Yes, Piccola. They're gone. And I promise, I will never let anyone hurt you. Lily studied him with the brutal honesty of children. Then she reached out and took his hand. Okay, she said simply. I believe you. Marina watched her daughter trust the Mafia boss who'd just killed for them and felt the last of her illusions shatter. There was no going back to normal. There was only survival. And Dante Ferocai was the only reason they were still alive. The safe room doubled as Dante's private office. Reinforced walls, encrypted computers, and a wet bar that seemed absurdly civilized given the circumstances. Lily had finally fallen asleep on the leather couch, exhausted from crying. Marina sat across from Dante's desk, wrapped in a blanket someone had provided, watching him work. He'd changed shirts, but hadn't bothered cleaning the blood from his hands. It stained his fingers as he typed, made dark smudges on his phone when he answered calls in rapid Italian.
Marina cot fragments, si. No survivors.
Triple the perimeter. I want names by morning. When he finally hung up, the silence felt oppressive. You should try to sleep, Dante said without looking up. Like I could sleep after that. You'd be surprised what you can adapt to. He poured himself scotch, then paused. Want one? I don't drink. Tonight might be a good time to start. Marina surprised herself by accepting. The alcohol burned going down, but it quieted something screaming inside her chest. How do you do it? She asked. Kill people, and then just move on. Dante was quiet for a moment. I don't move on. I compartmentalize. Every name goes in a box in my head. Someday that box will be too full, and I'll have to deal with it. But not today. That's not healthy. Neither is getting shot. He finally met her eyes. This is my world, Marina. It's ugly and violent and morally bankrupt. I warned you. You didn't warn me there'd be a firefight with my daughter in the next room. You're right. I underestimated how far they'd go. Dante's jaw clenched. It won't happen again. How can you promise that? Because I'm done playing defense. He pulled up something on his computer. Surveillance photos, documents, maps. The Rossis have been testing my weaknesses for months. First the kidnapping, then the ambush on the highway, now this. They think I'm vulnerable. Distracted. Aren't you? Dante's eyes flickered to Lily's sleeping form. Yes. But that just makes me more dangerous. Marina sipped her scotch, studying him. In this light, with exhaustion written across his features, he looked younger. Almost vulnerable. She could see the scared man from the highway beneath the Mafia boss. Why did you tell Luca I showed you loyalty? She asked quietly. I just helped an injured person. Anyone would have done it. But they didn't. 12 cars passed me before you stopped. I counted. Dante leaned back in his chair. You want to know what I thought about while I was bleeding out? I thought about my father. About how he built this empire on fear and respect, but died alone in a hospital room because everyone was too afraid to visit him. I thought about dying the same way, powerful and completely alone. You're not alone. You have an army of people who work for me. That's different. He swirled a scotch. Then you appeared, this woman in a cheap blazer with kind eyes, and you didn't see Dante Ferocai, heir to a criminal empire. You just saw someone who needed help. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Marina looked away, uncomfortable with his intensity. I'm not special. You're the most special person I've met in a decade. Dante stood, moving to the window that overlooked the damaged gardens. My whole life, people want something from me. Money, protection, power. Even my own men, they're loyal because I pay them, because crossing me means death. But you wanted nothing. Still want nothing. It's confusing. Welcome to how normal people operate. There's nothing normal about you, Marina Reyes. He turned back to her. You're a single mother who works 2 jobs and still finds time to help strangers. You're terrified, but you don't run. You have every reason to hate me, but you're sitting here drinking scotch instead of screaming. Maybe I'm in shock. Maybe. Or maybe you're stronger than you think. Dante moved closer, and Marina's breath caught. I meant what I said earlier. Helping me made you a target. But it also made you something else. What? Someone I can't imagine losing. The confession hung in the air like smoke. Marina stood abruptly, putting distance between them. Don't do that. Do what? Pretend this is something it's not. I'm not staying because I want to. I'm staying because men with guns just tried to kill my daughter. I know Dante's voice was rough. And I hate that. I hate that my world touched yours. I hate that Lily had to see violence tonight. I hate that 3 good men died protecting you. Then let us go. I can't. Not yet. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. Marina, if I let you walk away now, you'd be dead within a week. The Rossis know your face. They know Lily exists. Even if I gave you new identities, new lives, they'd find you eventually. The only thing keeping you alive is the fact that you're under my protection. So, I'm a prisoner. Your family, the word came out fierce, almost angry. In my world, that means something. It means I will burn down cities before I let anyone hurt you. It means every resource I have is dedicated to keeping you safe. It means... He stopped, jaw clenching. It means what?
Marina pressed.
Dante looked at her with something that might have been desperation. It means you're the first good thing in my life in 10 years, and I'm selfish enough to want to keep you close. Even if you hate me for it. Marina's heart hammered against her ribs. This was dangerous. Not the guns or the violence, but this. The way Dante looked at her like she was water in a desert. I don't hate you, she admitted quietly. I should. But I don't. Then what do you feel? Marina looked at Lily sleeping peacefully, at the blood still on Dante's hands, at the man who was both her protector and her jailer. Confused, she whispered. So incredibly confused. Dante smiled, sad and small. That makes 2 of us. Marina started paying attention. Not to Dante's grand gestures or philosophical confessions, but to the small things. The staff who moved through the villa like ghosts. The men who came and went with briefcases and grim faces. The phone calls conducted in hushed Italian behind closed doors. If she was trapped here, she might as well understand the trap. It started innocently enough. Teresa mentioned that supplies were running low because someone forgot to place the order. The groundskeeper complained that the security schedule kept changing without notice. Marco muttered about communication breakdowns that shouldn't happen in a professional operation. Small things. Easy to dismiss. But Marina had spent years balancing impossibly tight budgets, catching mistakes before they became disasters. She knew what inefficiency looked like. This wasn't inefficiency. This was sabotage. On the 5th day after the attack, Marina found herself in the villa's kitchen while Teresa prepared lunch. Lily was in the garden with one of the younger guards, learning Italian words for flowers. Teresa, Marina asked carefully, how long have you worked for Dante? 23 years. I started when his father was still alive. The older woman chopped vegetables with practiced precision. Why do you ask? Just curious. You must know everyone here pretty well. Like family. Mr. Dante takes care of us. Good salary, housing, medical care. My grandson's university education. Mr. Dante paid for all of it. That's generous. He's a good man, despite. Teresa trailed off, then shrugged. Despite everything. Marina helped dry dishes, keeping her tone casual. The attack the other night. Has anything like that happened before? Teresa's knife paused mid-chop. Once. 3 years ago. But that was different. We had warning. Time to prepare, she shook her head. This time, they knew exactly when our security would be weakest. The shift changed the blind spots in the cameras. Someone told them. You think there's a traitor? I don't think. I know, Teresa's voice dropped. But I keep my mouth shut. In this world, accusations without proof get you killed. Marina filed that information away. Who has access to security schedules? Mr. Dante, Luca, Marco, and Enzo. Teresa counted on her fingers. Enzo is head of security. He's been with the family longest, saved Mr. Dante's father during an ambush back in 2003.
Enzo, Marina repeated.
She'd seen him, A man in his 50s with silver hair and watchful eyes. He moved with the quiet confidence of someone who'd survived decades in a dangerous profession. That afternoon, Marina made excuses to explore the villa. Dante was in meetings, and no one questioned her wandering. She was, after all, supposedly being considered as an advisor. Might as well look the part. She found Enzo's office in the West Wing, a sparse room with filing cabinets and a desk facing the window. The door was ajar. Through it, she heard his voice on the phone. Next Tuesday, the shipment from Genoa. He's changing the route again, a pause. No, I don't know the new location yet. He's keeping it close. Too close. Marina's pulse quickened. She pressed herself against the wall, barely breathing. I'm telling you, after the attack, he's paranoid. Trust no one mentality, another pause. Yes, the woman and child are still here.
Why?
You thinking of using them? His laugh was cold. Wouldn't recommend it. He's got them locked down tighter than the gold reserves. You'd need an army to get close. Marina's blood turned to ice.
Enzo was talking to someone about them.
About Dante's operations. Look, just be patient. He'll slip up eventually. He always does when he's emotional, and this Marina woman has him off balance. A longer pause. I know what I'm doing. I've been playing this game since before you were born. Now let me work. The call ended. Marina heard footsteps approaching the door. She ran. Back through corridors, heart hammering, mind racing. She didn't stop until she reached the East Wing, slamming the door behind her. Enzo. The most trusted man in Dante's organization. The one who'd saved his father's life. The one with access to everything. Marina's hands shook as she paced. She needed proof. A phone call wasn't enough. It could be explained away, misinterpreted. She needed something concrete. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marina snuck back to Enzo's office. The lock was simple. She'd learned to pick them as a teenager when she kept getting locked out of her foster homes. Inside, she searched with careful precision. Files, computer, drawers. Nothing obviously incriminating. Then, she found the burner phone hidden inside a hollowed-out book on the shelf. The messages were coded, but some things were clear enough. Package arrives Tuesday. New route, A7 instead of A12. Security light on East Gate, 22 to 22:15. 3 guards down, rotating schedule attached. The last message was time-stamped 3 hours before the attack. Marina photographed everything with trembling hands, then put the phone back exactly where she'd found it. She had her proof. But as she slipped back through dark corridors, a horrible thought occurred to her. If Enzo had been loyal to Dante's father, had saved the family, had decades of service, what could possibly make him betray that? Money? Power? Fear? Or something worse, something that made betrayal feel like survival? Marina reached her room and locked the door.
Tomorrow, she'd tell Dante.
Tomorrow, she'd hand him evidence that would destroy one of the few people he still trusted. Tomorrow, she'd watch Dante's world crack a little more. And she wondered, not for the first time, if kindness was worth the price it demanded. Outside her window, she saw Enzo making his rounds, flashlights sweeping the gardens. He looked up at her window, and even from this distance, Marina swore he was smiling. Like he knew she knew. Like he was waiting to see what she'd do next. Marina waited until Lily was having breakfast with Teresa before approaching Dante's study. Her phone felt like it was burning a hole in her pocket. All that evidence, all those damning photographs. She knocked twice.
Come in.
Dante sat behind his desk, reviewing documents, a cup of espresso steaming beside him. He looked tired, the kind of exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix.
Marina.
This is a surprise. He gestured to the chair across from him. Everything okay? No, she closed the door and locked it. We need to talk. Privately. His expression sharpened. What happened? Marina pulled out her phone and placed it on his desk. I found your traitor. The silence that followed was absolute. Dante's hand froze halfway to his coffee cup, his eyes locked on her phone. Show me. Marina pulled up the photographs, the burner phone messages, the security schedules, the timestamps that perfectly aligned with the attack. She watched Dante's face as he scrolled through them, watched the color drain from his skin. Where did you get these? Enzo's office. Hidden in a book on his shelf. You broke into his office? Dante's voice was dangerously quiet. I heard him on the phone. He was reporting to someone about your operations, about us. I needed proof before I came to you. Dante set the phone down with careful precision. Do you have any idea how reckless that was? If he'd caught you. But he didn't. Marina, he stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Enzo has been with my family for 30 years. He saved my father's life. He taught me how to shoot, how to negotiate, how to survive in this world. You're telling me he's been betraying us. I'm telling you what I found, Marina's voice softened. I know what he means to you.
But look at the evidence, Dante.
The messages match perfectly with the attack. He gave them everything, routes, schedules, weak points. Dante braced his hands against the window frame, his shoulders tight with tension. Why would he do this? I pay him well. I trust him completely. His grandson. I'm paying for his education, for God's sake. Maybe that's why Marina stood, moving closer. Maybe someone threatened his grandson. Or maybe he's being paid more than you could ever offer. I don't know his reasons. But the facts don't lie. The facts, Dante turned, and Marina saw something broken in his eyes. The facts say that the man who taught me everything, who stood beside my father when everyone else ran, has been selling us out to our enemies.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Be right. He grabbed his phone, making a call.
Luca.
My office.
Now.
And bring Enzo. After he hung up, Marina touched his arm gently. What are you going to do? What I have to, his voice was hollow. This is my world, Marina. Betrayal has consequences. Dante. You should go. Take Lily to the gardens. You don't need to see this. See what? The look he gave her was answer enough. Marina felt her stomach drop. You're going to kill him. I'm going to get answers. What happens after depends on what he says. Dante's expression hardened. This isn't a court of law, Marina. This is survival. Enzo's betrayal got 3 of my men killed. It nearly got you and Lily killed. That can't go unpunished. There has to be another way. There isn't. Not in this world. A knock at the door interrupted them. Luca entered, followed by Enzo. The older man looked calm, even friendly, but Marina saw the calculation in his eyes when he noticed her presence. Dante, you wanted to see me? Enzo asked. Sit down. Something in Dante's tone made Enzo hesitate. Luca moved to block the door, hand drifting to his weapon. What's this about? Enzo asked carefully. Marina found something interesting in your office. Dante slid the phone across the desk. Want to explain these messages? Enzo's face went carefully blank as he looked at the screen. I can explain. Can you explain why you gave the Rossis our security schedule? Why you told them about the shipment routes? Why you set us up to die? The room went deadly silent. Enzo looked at Marina, and she saw something flicker in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or resignation. Then he sighed. How long have you suspected? I didn't suspect. I trusted you completely, Dante's voice cracked. Why, Enzo? After everything, why? Because your father made promises he never intended to keep. Enzo's calm facade crumbled, revealing decades of resentment. 20 years I worked for Vittorio. 20 years of loyalty, of killing, of destroying my soul for your family. And when I asked him to help my daughter, when she was dying and needed treatment in Switzerland, he said no. Said it was too expensive, too complicated. Dante's jaw clenched. My father. Your father let her die while he spent millions on cars and mistresses. Enzo's hand shook. So when the Rossis approached me, when they offered me enough money to give my grandson the life my daughter never had, I took it. You killed for him, Dante said quietly. You stood beside him for decades. And you threw it all away for money? I threw it away for family. Real family. The one thing your father never understood. Enzo stood slowly. I knew you'd find out eventually. I knew there'd be consequences. But my grandson has a future now. A clean future, away from all this blood. That's worth dying for. Marina watched Dante's face, saw the war between loyalty and justice, between the man who'd sat beside her at the fountain and the Mafia boss who couldn't show weakness. Luca, take him downstairs, Dante said finally. Dante, please, Marina started. Marina, leave.
Now.
I won't let you. This isn't your choice. Dante's voice cracked like a whip. You gave me the evidence. You did your part. What happens next is my burden, not yours. Enzo was already moving toward the door, Luca's gun trained on his back. He paused beside Marina. You're a good woman, he said quietly. Too good for this world. Get out while you still can. Then he was gone, the door closing behind him. Marina stood alone with Dante, her hands shaking. What are you going to do to him? Dante wouldn't meet her eyes. What I have to. There has to be mercy. He was trying to protect his grandson. And 3 men died because of it. Lily almost died because of it. Dante's voice was dead, empty. In my world, intentions don't matter. Only consequences. He walked past her to the door. Don't follow me, Marina.
Please.
Let me be the monster. You stay good. The door closed, and Marina was left alone, realizing too late that giving Dante the truth meant watching him destroy what was left of his humanity. Marina didn't see Dante for 3 days. Enzo disappeared. No one spoke about it. The staff moved through the villa like ghosts, eyes down, voices hushed. Even Lily noticed the change, asking why everyone seemed so sad. On the 4th morning, Marina found Dante in the garden where they'd first talked. He sat on the stone bench, staring at nothing, a bottle of scotch beside him. It was barely passed on. You look terrible, Marina said, sitting beside him. I feel worse. His voice was raw, like he'd been screaming. Or crying. I keep seeing his face. Enzo. The way he looked at me at the end, like he'd expected better. Like I disappointed him by being exactly what I am. What happened? I gave him a choice. Dante took a drink straight from the bottle. Exile or execution. He chose exile. Said he wanted his grandson to remember him as missing, not murdered. Marina felt something in her chest unclench. You let him go. I put him on a boat to Argentina with enough money to disappear. His grandson thinks he retired. Dante laughed bitterly. My father would have killed him slowly. Made an example. But I couldn't. Even after everything, I couldn't. That doesn't make you weak. It makes me a liability.
Luca thinks I'm soft.
Half my men think I'm losing control. He turned to look at her, and his eyes were devastated. But every time I tried to give the order, I saw you. Heard your voice asking about mercy. And I couldn't become the monster you'd hate. Marina's breath caught. Dante. I'm done, Marina, he set the bottle down. Done pretending this life is something I can sustain. Done sacrificing pieces of myself until there's nothing left. My father built this empire on fear and blood, but I don't want to die like he did, powerful and alone. What are you saying? I'm saying I want out. Not completely. I have responsibilities, people who depend on me. But I want to change how we operate. Legitimize what we can, shut down what we can't. Build something that doesn't require me to execute men who were like fathers to me. He reached for her hand, and Marina let him take it. I need help. Someone who sees the world differently. Someone who'll tell me when I'm wrong.
Someone. He paused.
Someone like you. Marina looked at their joined hands, hers scarred from years of hard work, his stained with choices she couldn't imagine. I'm not qualified to reform a mafia organization. You're qualified to remind me I'm human. That's more than anyone else has done in a decade. Dante squeezed her hand gently. I meant what I said before.
Stay.
Not as a prisoner or a guest, but as something more. Help me build something better. And if I say no, then I'll keep my promise. New identity, new city, enough money to start over. You'll never see me again. Pain flickered across his face. But I hope you won't. I hope.
Mana.
Lily's voice rang across the garden. She ran toward them, Teresa following at a more sedate pace. Mama, Teresa taught me how to make pasta. Can we make some for dinner? Marina pulled her hand from Dante's, but not before Lily noticed. The little girl looked between them with the uncomfortable perception of children. Are you and Mr. Ferocai friends now? She asked. Marina opened her mouth, but no words came. What were they? Prisoner and captor? Savior and saved? Something far more complicated than either. I hope so, Dante said quietly. Your mama is the best person I know. Lily studied him seriously. You killed bad people to protect us, didn't you? The blunt question made both adults freeze. Marina started to deflect, but Dante spoke first. Yes, he said simply. I did. And I'm not sure if that makes me a good person or a bad one. My teacher says good people make mistakes too. Lily tilted her head. But they try to be better. Are you trying to be better? Dante looked at Marina, something raw and hopeful in his eyes. I'm trying. Your mama is teaching me how. Lily seemed satisfied with this answer. She grabbed Marina's hand. Come on, Mama. The pasta dough is getting warm. As Teresa led Lily back toward the villa, Marina stood frozen. Dante rose beside her. You haven't answered, he said. Will you stay? Marina thought about the diner, the eviction notices, the endless cycle of barely surviving. She thought about Lily's laughter echoing through the villa, the first real joy she'd shown in years. She thought about the man who'd bled on a highway and the man who'd spared a traitor because she'd asked him to see mercy. I need conditions, she said finally. Name them. No more killing unless there's absolutely no other choice. We find legitimate ways to handle problems. Agreed. Lily's education comes first. Normal school, normal friends, as normal life as possible. Done. And I'm not your employee. If I stay, we're partners. Equals. My voice matters as much as yours. Dante's smile was genuine for the first time in days. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm serious, Dante. If you make me complicit in violence, if you cross lines I can't forgive, I'm gone. Money or no money. Protection or no protection. I understand, he stepped closer. I promise you, Marina. I'll spend every day trying to deserve the faith you're showing me. Marina looked toward the villa, where Lily was probably already covered in flour and laughing with Teresa. She thought about the woman who'd stopped on that snowy highway, terrified and desperate. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who'd learned that survival sometimes meant accepting imperfect salvation. Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. But not because you're protecting me. Then why? Marina met his eyes. Because I think you meant what you said. About wanting to be better. And maybe I can help with that. You already have. Dante offered his hand formally, like sealing a business deal. Partners? Marina shook it, feeling the calluses on his palm that matched her own, both of them scarred by different battles, different kinds of survival. Partners, she agreed. As they walked back to the villa together, Marina realized the truth. She hadn't just saved Dante Ferocai on that highway. He'd saved her too, from a life of endless struggle, from drowning slowly in poverty and fear. They'd saved each other. And now, together, they would try to save a piece of his dark empire, transforming it one choice at a time into something that wouldn't destroy what was left of their souls. The woman who'd changed a kingdom of crime with nothing but kindness had finally found her throne. Not as a victim, not as a prisoner, but as the conscience a monster learned to listen to.